She told me, stop being jealous or stay home. Then she hooked up with her ex. A week later, she begged for me back, but I was already done. I'm not proud of how long it took me to understand that jealousy was her favorite word when she needed me to shut up. Her name's Tessa, 31, graphic designer, bright, restless energy, the kind that fills a room before she even speaks. I'm 34, a quieter type, software engineer, slow to react, careful with words. At first, that contrast felt like chemistry. Later, it felt like camouflage, like speed used to hide things. When we met, I had just moved into a new apartment, a clean white box with a small balcony and an overworked AC unit that rattled like it had regrets. Tessa started staying over almost instantly. She liked reorganizing things, swapping the mugs I used for tea, fixing the arrangement of books, relocating my keys so they made more visual sense. It didn't bother me at first. I thought it was nesting. I thought she was investing in us. There were red flags, tiny and almost polite. She would go quiet when her phone buzzed, tip it face down, and say, "Work stuff. Boring." Her group of friends seemed to know an entirely separate version of me, one she described as jealous, sensitive, easily threatened. The first time I heard someone say, "Oh, so you're the jealous boyfriend," I laughed like it was a joke. Tessa didn't correct them, but things were mostly fine on the surface. Weeknight dinners, movie marathons, the strange comfort of sharing a bed with someone who talks in their sleep. I loved her in that simple, domestic way, the kind that grows on you quietly. The trouble started with an invitation. Her friend Lena was hosting a birthday thing at a bar downtown. I wasn't super close to that friend group, but I figured it might be good to go. Build some bridges. Show I wasn't the control freak, caricature Tessa sometimes hinted I was. The night before the party, she was pacing our living room, half-dressed, holding two tops on hangers like they were competing for custody. "You don't have to come," she said casually. "You said you've got an early meeting Monday." "I can sleep less," I said. "It's fine. I want to meet your friends." She paused. Not a natural pause. One of those calculated silences where people wait for you to talk yourself out of something. Then she said this sentence that would keep replaying in my head for weeks after. "If you're going to act jealous, just stay home." I blinked. Jealous of what? She rolled her eyes like I was a kid who asked why the sky was blue. "Just don't make it a thing. Okay? If you get insecure around certain people, it ruins the vibe." Certain people, it turned out, meant her ex, who was also invited. A detail she conveniently hadn't mentioned. Still, I tried to keep the peace. I told her I wasn't planning on starting anything, and she gave this quick nod like she didn't believe me but was too tired to argue. We went to the bar separately, her idea. "So you don't feel pressured," she said, which was a strange way to phrase something that felt like she didn't want to arrive with me at all. The bar was one of those dim places with exposed brick and Edison bulbs that try too hard. Loud music, too many people, drinks that tasted like melted candy. When I walked in, she was already with her friends at a tall table, laughing with her whole body, one arm draped over someone's shoulder, and before I even reached her, I realized it was her ex, Matt. I'd seen photos before, always with some dismissive, "Ugh, that guy," energy. But the way she leaned into him that night didn't look like someone who'd emotionally moved on. It looked familiar, intimate, easy. When she finally noticed me, she gave a little wave but didn't pull away from him. Her friends glanced at me like I was interrupting something. I stayed for an hour, maybe less. I nursed one beer, tried to enter a few conversations, tried to ignore the way Tessa kept wandering back to Matt like he had gravity, and I didn't. At one point, she slid into his arms in this playful, careless way, her head thrown back in laughter. He touched her waist. She didn't stop him. I caught her eye across the room. She smiled like everything was fine. Something in me just shut off. I didn't make a scene, didn't storm, didn't accuse. I just stepped outside, ordered a rideshare, and sent a text. "I'm heading home. Have a good night." She didn't reply. I unlocked the apartment, sat on the couch in the dark, and listened to the AC rattle. I waited for her until around 3 a.m., then until 4, then until 5. She never came home. Around sunrise, my phone buzzed. A single text. "Crashing at Lena's. Don't start drama." Drama. Right. I didn't sleep that morning. Not because I was hurt, though I was, but because something snapped into place. A clarity I hadn't had before. Like someone finally wiped fog off the mirror and I could see what I'd been avoiding. The next week was quiet. She didn't come over much. claimed work was nuts, claimed she needed space, claimed I'd embarrassed her by leaving early, as if disappearing into her ex's arms in front of me had been normal behavior and my quiet exit was the disruption. I didn't push, didn't argue. I just thought, and watched, and listened, and waited to see what she'd do when she felt me pulling back. She answered that question exactly 7 days later, when she showed up at my door unexpectedly, mascara smudged, breathing hard like she'd run up the stairs. "Please," she said immediately, not even stepping inside yet. "Please just listen." I didn't move. I just held the door partly open and waited. Her voice cracked. It didn't mean anything. But in that moment, I felt nothing except a tired, almost peaceful distance. I didn't know yet what she'd done that night. I didn't know the full truth. The worst part was still ahead. But even then, even before the evidence, it was already over. And she must have seen that on my face, because she stepped closer, reaching for my hand like she always did when she wanted to reset the narrative. I pulled my hand back. Her eyes widened with this raw, stunned hurt, and I said, quietly, simply, "Neither do you to me now." Then I shut the door. And the real story, the painful part, the part where things finally made sense, hadn't even started yet. The thing about silence is that it's never really silent. It's full of echoes, things you missed, things you ignored, things you explained away because you wanted to believe the best of someone. The week after I closed the door on her, those echoes got loud. Tessa texted me twice. Short messages. "We need to talk. Please don't make assumptions." I didn't reply, not out of spite. I just needed to let the emotional static settle. I went to work. I cooked actual meals instead of whatever microwave compromise we usually ate. I slept without someone rolling across the bed diagonally. My life shrank, then cleared. Space appeared. And in that space, questions started forming. By Wednesday, I noticed something unusual: the absence of her social media activity. She was the kind of person who posted every small thing: latte art, a sunset, an outfit in a mirror. But now, nothing for days. I thought that meant she was giving me space. Turns out, she was doing something else entirely. That Friday, I got a message from someone I barely knew. Chris, an acquaintance from her friend group. We'd spoken maybe twice. He sent one line: "Hey man, I think you should see this before it disappears." Attached was a screenshot. It was an Instagram story, already deleted by the time I got it. A boomerang of Tessa sitting on Matt's lap at the bar that night. His arms around her hand on his chest, her laughing into his neck. Bright neon lettering across the screen. "Some things never change," faced with tears of joy red heart. My stomach didn't drop. My heart didn't race. I felt still. Like confirmation can sometimes be a relief, even when it hurts. I texted Chris. "Thanks. Why send this to me?" He replied almost instantly. "Because she told everyone you were losing it over nothing and trying to control her." Then she bragged that she and Matt were rekindling that night. "I don't know you well, but that seemed messed up." There was a long pause before another message came through. "She said you freaked out and stormed home. Thought you should know." Stormed. Sure. I stared at the screen until the letters blurred. I wasn't angry. I expected some level of revisionism. She always rearranged reality to make herself the protagonist, but the shamelessness of it still stung. That night, I sat on my balcony with a beer, watching the city lights blink like slow Morse code. And I thought about all the little things I'd dismissed, like how she'd once accused me of disrespecting her boundaries because I asked whether she was still talking to her ex, or how she treated my concerns like personal attacks, or how she needed me quiet, compliant, add water supportive, never inconvenient. I didn't realize I'd fallen asleep outside until my phone buzzed around 1 a.m. A missed call, then another, both from Tessa, then a text: "I need to see you. Please. It's important." Something in that phrasing felt off. Not emotional, urgent. A few minutes passed before she called again. This time I answered. Her voice was frantic, not crying exactly, more out of breath, like she'd been running or fighting or both. "Where are you?" she asked. "Are you home? Please tell me you're home." "I'm home," I said slowly. "Why?" "I'm coming over." "Tessa." She hung up before I finished. 10 minutes later, there was a sharp knock. Not frantic like before, controlled, measured, like she'd collected herself in the elevator. When I opened the door, she wasn't crying. She wasn't angry. She was composed in this weird, almost businesslike way. "Can I come in?" she asked. "No." She flinched. Then she sighed, rubbed her hands together nervously, and looked at me with an expression I had never seen on her face: fear. I need your help, she said quietly. And I know you're mad, and I get it, okay? But please, just listen. That wasn't the tone of someone apologizing for cheating. It was the tone of someone in trouble. Real trouble. Against my better judgment, I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. We stood in the dim hallway with the humming elevator and the faint smell of someone's burned dinner. She swallowed hard. Matt is being insane. He's telling people I let him on. He's spreading shit. He's twisting everything. Did you tell him everything? I asked. I didn't tell him anything, she snapped, then lowered her voice. We had a moment. That's all. A moment, I repeated. She shook her head quickly, as if trying to push past the topic. That doesn't matter right now. What matters is that he's threatening to post things. Screenshots, old photos, stuff from when we were together. And this involves me how? She hesitated. Because he said he's going to message you. I blinked. Message me what? She looked away. Things that could make you think badly of me. Tessa, I said slowly. He doesn't need screenshots for that. I watched you in his lap. Her jaw tightened. It wasn't like that. Then her mask cracked for a second. Guilt flickered, brief but real. He's just trying to ruin my life, she said. You know how he gets. You know how jealous he is. I almost laughed. Jealous? Him. He hates seeing me happy, she insisted. He always has. You were on his lap. It wasn't serious. Tessa, I said sharply. You stayed the night with him or with someone who lied about it for you. Don't rewrite this. For a second, she had nothing to say. Just breathed fast, eyes glossy but not crying yet. Then she whispered, I made a mistake. A mistake usually stops at one decision, I said. You stacked decision on decision. She pressed her fingers to her temples. I know. I messed up. But that's not why I'm here. She glanced down the hallway like someone might be listening. Then she said something that chilled me more than the cheating did. He has a video of me from years ago. I don't want him sending it to anyone. I need you to help me talk to him. Calm him down. He'll listen to you. You're calm, rational. He respects that. I stared at her. You want me, I said slowly, to negotiate with the guy you cheated on me with? She winced. I didn't cheat. We weren't technically. We were, I said, unless you broke up with me before sitting on his lap. Her voice cracked. Please. I'm scared, and here's the part I'm not proud of. For a tiny moment, I almost softened. She looked small, lost, and I remembered the version of her I loved. The version that made bad days better and good days brighter. But then something clicked. Not anger, not revenge, just clarity. Tessa, I said carefully, if Matt messages me anything, I'll deal with it myself. But I'm not getting involved. Not with whatever mess you and he created together. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. So you're just going to leave me alone in this? You left me alone the second you chose him. Her breath hitched. I thought you loved me. I did, I said. But you spent the night with someone else. That was your choice. She stared at me for a long time, her eyes searching for even a fracture she could wedge herself into. Then it happened. Her face hardened, like a door slammed shut inside her. Fine, she said flatly. Don't help me. But when this blows up, don't say I didn't warn you. I didn't understand what she meant until 3 days later, when Matt finally did message me. And that message changed everything I thought I knew about what really happened that night. Everything. Update 1. Matt didn't message me with some angry rant or an apology or a threat. He sent one thing. A single audio file. No text. No explanation. Just a voice memo, timestamped the night of the party, 2:14 a.m. I didn't open it right away. I stared at the notification for 20 minutes, thumb hovering over the play button, stomach tightening in this slow, cold way. When I finally pressed it, the first few seconds were muffled bar noise, music bleeding into chatter, glasses clinking, someone laughing too loudly. Then I heard her voice. Tessa. Clear. Sharp. Alcohol softened, but absolutely unmistakable. God, I missed you, she said. You have no idea. My pulse thudded in my ears. Matt's voice came next. Lower, calmer, almost hesitant. Don't say stuff you don't mean. She laughed, a soft, intimate sound. I do mean it. I've missed this. I've missed you. A scrape of chairs. Movement. Breathing too close to the mic. Then why are you with him? Matt asked. And her answer, her tone, it wasn't confused or conflicted or guilty. It was matter of fact. bored, like she was explaining something she barely cared about. He's safe, she said. Good for now. But we both know he's not intense. Not like you. I stopped breathing. The recording kept going. I'll talk to him soon, she said. I just need him calm first. He gets weird if I pull away too fast. Weird. Right. That was me. The calm, predictable one. The placeholder. Matt spoke again. You're not going to actually break up with him. I will, she insisted. Eventually. I'm just managing the timing. A pause, then a teasing laugh. You know how he gets. The audio ended there. Abruptly, like someone had pocketed their phone without hitting stop. I replayed it once. Then again, until the words blurred and the meaning sharpened. And the whole week, the lap sitting, the disappearing, the late night sobbing at my door, snapped into a new shape. She wasn't here because she regretted cheating. She was here because the guy she cheated with had leverage. And she wanted me to neutralize him. I messaged Matt. Me. Why did you send me this? He replied instantly. Matt, she told people you were stalking her after the party. Said you were acting unstable and making threats. She's trying to get ahead of something. My jaw clenched. Stalking. Threats. Me? Me. I left quietly and went home. That's all. Matt. I know. That's why I sent it. She's been doing this for years, setting guys up against each other. I'm not proud I fell back into it. But I'm not letting her burn another person. He added another message. You deserve to know the truth. Whatever she tells you next, record it. That last sentence stayed with me. Record it. Because people like Tessa didn't fall apart quietly. They detonated strategically. I didn't respond to him. I just saved the audio file in a locked folder, then backed it up to 2 separate drives. Not because I wanted to use it against her, but because I suddenly understood Tessa wasn't scared of exposure because of something between her and Matt. She was scared because she'd started spinning a narrative where I was the danger. And if she kept going, she could cause real damage. That night, she texted me again. Tessa, we need to talk. Please. I'm not okay. I didn't open it. I just placed my phone face down and sat at the edge of the bed, staring at the floor, breathing slow like I was trying to steady myself on a moving train. The next morning, she showed up at my apartment again, unannounced, knocking softly like she hoped gentleness would rewrite everything. When I opened the door only a sliver, she whispered, Can I please come in? Just for a minute. No, I said. Her face crumpled. You heard something, didn't you? I didn't answer. She took a shaky breath. Whatever he sent you. He twisted it. You know how manipulative he is. He's obsessed with ruining things for me. My voice came out calmer than I felt. I heard your voice, Tess. Not his. She flinched like I'd hit her. Then the panic turned ugly. Her tone sharpened, words rushed out fast. You don't understand how he is, she insisted. He always records things out of context. He's dangerous. He's. Tessa, I said. Your context was I'll break up with him eventually. Her mouth fell open. She hadn't realized I'd heard that line specifically. And for the first time ever, she didn't have a quick lie ready. She folded her arms tightly across her chest. A defensive brace. I didn't mean it, she whispered. You meant it enough to say it, I replied. Her breathing quickened. I was drunk. I was stupid. I was. You were honest, I said. And something in her broke. Not emotionally, strategically. Her face shifted into this eerie calm, the kind she adopted when she was about to rewrite the entire story. Okay, she said quietly. If you're choosing to believe him over me, that's on you. I'm choosing to believe your own words. She blinked. Once. Twice. Then her shoulders squared, and her voice went cold. You're making a mistake, she said. I didn't want this to get messy. I felt my stomach tighten. Messy how? You'll see, she said. Then she turned and walked away. No tears. No begging. No collapse. Just a quiet threat dressed as inevitability. And that's when I realized. She wasn't done with me. She was preparing her next version of the truth. I didn't know exactly what she'd do next, but I knew it would be worse than cheating. People like Tessa didn't lose gracefully. They either rewrote reality or burned it down. And she had just chosen the second option. I started documenting everything. Every text. Every call. Every timestamp. Because the story wasn't over. It was about to get dangerous. Final update. Final update. A week after that hallway threat, things finally snapped into place. The truth, the fear, the fallout. But it didn't happen dramatically. No big fight. No midnight screaming. It unfolded quietly, like a slow leak finally reaching the floor. It started with a phone call from an unknown number. Late afternoon, I was at my desk, half listening to a debugging podcast and trying not to think about the last conversation with Tessa. The number wasn't local, but something in me said answer it anyway. Hello. A man's voice, steady, professional. Hi, this is Officer Delgado from the Midtown Precinct. Is this? He said my full name. My pulse froze. Yes. Nothing serious, he added quickly. We just want to clarify a statement we received regarding some interpersonal concerns. Interpersonal concerns. That floating phrase people use when they're trying not to say the thing directly. I closed my eyes. Tessa, I said. A pause. We can't discuss the reporting party. You just did, I didn't say. He continued. She mentioned you'd been contacting her repeatedly, showing up at her work, and that she was worried you might escalate. A dull, familiar ache settled in my chest. Not even anger. Just tired recognition. This was the script she always used. Flip the roles. Paint herself as the chaste one. Rewrite my silence as pursuit. Officer, I said. I haven't seen her since she left my apartment 2 weeks ago. I haven't called. Haven't texted. Haven't gone anywhere near her workplace. I have screenshots if you need them. Screenshots? He repeated. Yes. I documented everything. She's the one contacting me, not the other way around. I paused. I also have an audio file she probably didn't mention. There was the soft rustling sound of someone adjusting in their chair. An audio file of what? Something her ex sent me. It contradicts her claims. He cleared his throat. We're not making accusations. We're just verifying information. Meaning, we've seen this pattern before, but we have to stay neutral. He asked a few more questions, mostly procedural, dates, times, physical distance. I answered calmly, even when my hands trembled. At the end, he said something that stuck with me. Just keep the documentation. You're doing the right thing. The right thing. Funny how the right thing can feel like swallowing gravel. After the call, I sat in my apartment in total silence. My laptop hummed. The refrigerator kicked on. Somewhere in the hallway, a dog barked. And I thought, she really went through with it. She really tried to flip the story. But it didn't escalate after that. Not immediately. No officers at the door. No restraining order attempts. No surprise visits. Just nothing. A vacuum. Until I got a message from Matt again. Short, clipped, resigned. Matt. She's doing the same thing with me now. He sent a screenshot. Her texting him long paragraphs about how I was unstable, obsessed, dangerous. That I was stalking her. That she was scared what he might do. He replied with one sentence. I heard the recording too, Tessa. She blocked him immediately. I don't know why, but seeing that hurt more than the cheating. Not the losing, the pattern. The ease with which she could warp reality, hopping from one version of truth to another, depending on who she needed to manipulate. It was like watching someone rewrite history in real time, dragging everyone into the new version whether they liked it or not. After that, I did one last thing. I wrote an email. Short, factual, not emotional. I attached a PDF of the timeline, dates, times, screenshots, the officer's call log. I sent it to myself, my brother, in a secure cloud folder, just in case she tried again. Not as revenge, as insurance, the kind you hope you never need. Then I blocked her number. Everywhere. Phone, email, socials, the whole digital map of her. And she disappeared. No attempts to reach me through friends. No dramatic apology. No panicked midnight messages. Nothing. It was like she'd run out of angles to play, or found someone new to try them on. The strange thing is, I didn't feel triumphant. No sense of victory. No final punch of, I told you so. I felt emptied out. The truth has a way of stripping you bare. It doesn't reward you. It just puts you face to face with things you didn't want to acknowledge. About her, about myself, about the quiet blind spots I walked into willingly. People think betrayal is sharp, like a knife. But sometimes it's dull, a slow grind against your foundations until you don't recognize what you're standing on anymore. The weeks that followed were quiet, oddly normal. But the normal felt different, like moving through a rebuilt room where everything is technically in place, but nothing sits the way it used to. I started going to the gym again, mostly to burn off the jittery tension that had taken up residence in my limbs. I picked up old hobbies, photography, running, the small rituals I'd abandoned without noticing. Friends invited me out, cautiously at first, like I was an injured animal they didn't want to spook. But healing wasn't linear. Some days I felt fine. Others, I replayed the audio in my head like a reflex. Not because I missed her, but because I still couldn't believe she'd said those things, so casually, so lightly, like I was a placeholder character in someone else's story. Eventually, though, even that faded. Not cleanly, not fully, but enough. I never heard from Tessa again. Matt moved on. He met someone new, actually stable this time. He sent me one last message months later. Hope you're doing better. You deserve better. I didn't reply, but I appreciated it. Life didn't snap back. It stretched into a new shape. A tougher shape. A quieter one. I'm more cautious now, slower to trust, slower to attach, more aware of the soft spots where people can wedge themselves in. It's not cynicism. It's consequence. A thin scar on a place I didn't know could break. But here's the truth I landed on. The real truth. The one that cost me months of unlearning. When someone shows you they're willing to rewrite reality, it's not your job to argue with their story. It's your job to step out of the frame. I did that. Late, but I did. And the silence that followed, the real silence, the peaceful kind, was worth every painful minute it took to get there.